Dude, yesterday I played solo queue with Bugi and he pinged me.
Really?
Yeah.
You're a liar.
I was Jax.
He pinged me all the time.
I was Jax.
I don't remember.
Contract's thinking about a vault breaker, but the Drake's already low. Nature's Grasp has been fired off, and now Chime's ready to lock down the enemy top laner. Doko's gonna die before he can do much of anything. Super Mega Death Rocket goes in, and the Croc goes down. Finally, Energy gets one back, making it 1-1, but Turtle's ready to pop off. He's on a rampage.
So anyone we 1v1?
Shut up, huhi.
자리 아무도 없다고요.
We have lobby in a minute, right?
Yes, but like anyone on the 1v1. I'm still waiting.
Solo's ready to summon up the Ornhorn here. They're going after Stixxay. They do a lot of damage, and they manage to take him out, but they're already going to lose their jungler in return. Shut down over to Tactical. He's got to do a lot more work. Licorice pops the Dominus, continues running forward. Now they're going to turn their focus over onto Balulu as Tactical falls back towards the fountain. He'll be the last man standing. A quadra kill over to Gori. Tactical gets out. Oh! The kill for Gori of the Golden Guardians. And we've got huhi for the first time on the caster desk here for LCS. Joining us for 100 Thieves versus C9. Double-It's ulti keeps him alive for an extra second. Closer pop of the clone. Over the wall comes Jimenez. Double-It's down. Buzio's down. C9 has lost their jungler, but the pace continues. Berserker setting off the bomb on these guys. Triple kill back over to M&S. Only some days still standing, but the day's today, and it's Cloud9's day for another dub.
Rich is just dedicating his job to keeping Yawn out of this fight, so let's see how much damage can Team Liquid get without Yawn, and it looks like they're just doing a damn good job already. Not really needing Yawn as he finally flashes in for the cleanup. They eviscerate Dignitas, but Rich has dealt with Harry into the backline, and he's going for the game, and Rich, can he finish the game by himself? He's got the footwork, but Yawn takes him out. Moonlight Vigil, not enough damage. Yawn is still alive. He's taking out one by one. The GA pop. Jensen can walk up potentially, but Yawn has to deal with two threats. He takes out the corner. The grand entry. It's Dignitas. Jensen gets the last auto attack. Revenge might be in a bad spot here. Armail turns out the lights, but the Nature's Wrath is going to cut them all forward. Huge knockup from Vulcan. Can Jojo Pyun cut him off on the right side of the flank? Yes, he can, but Vikla flashes out away, and Prince cleans him up. Prince is forced to use his flash. Ayla goes over the wall with the Magnet Storm and the crash down, finding Speak on the back end of it. And Revenge is trying to cut off the rest of the damage from Vikla and Prince so that he cannot help Speaka get out alive. The knockup goes in. It's a huge one for Vulcan, but it's a last-ditch effort as Evil Geniuses are the one that reign on top. Team Vulcan is eviscerated. Team Ayla reigns supreme. One game with this bad boy, and you'll be saying, holy Shiv, holy Shiv, holy Shiv, holy Shiv. Need to clear the wave? No problem. Need to clear the wave? No problem. Need to clear the wave? No problem.
Rip these off.
Need to clear the wave? No problem.
You guys need to clear the wave?
Everyone needs
No
problem.
Behind the scenes filming.
That's great. We need more of those,
Yeah,
especially for us.
The worst part about the filming that is when I actually slammed my head. It was like
The cartoon bump.
I was like, did I just give myself a concussion or something? What?
I think you did. We need to do that more often. I think more people need to
More
be
concussions?
confused. Yes.
Yeah, let's go.
I don't know, Raz.
All right, guys, welcome
I talk about
back.
League of Legends.
Day
Not
3,
health.
week 2. Let's pull up the standing. There's been a lot of surprises, especially yesterday. One of those surprises, to me at the very least, was Dignitas. They took a win versus Team Liquid. They're looking pretty good these days.
What are you talking about? It was a surprise. They're amazing. They beat undefeated teams.
Yep.
They beat EG. They beat them. We talk about them going up against C9. This is going to be the third win for Dignitas.
I mean, they literally lost to them.
Next round robin.
I know producer Manny is saying that Dignitas only beats undefeated teams, but they technically played an undefeated team at the start of the year and lost.
Oh.
It doesn't count, though, because it does count. It immediately falls flat.
Kinshade only beat 100% win rate teams. Still counts.
Yep. Let's pull up the schedule.
I'm talking nonsense.
Well, just to see, because of course, for anybody that's under a rock, yes, NRG and FlagQuest not doing all too hot. 100 Thieves as well. We actually got to see Quid this week. Not too hot so far, but we need a little bit of ramp-up time.
Just banger games all across the day. TL versus EG is going to be one of the highlights, but obviously Golden Guardians versus TSM to start, both at 3-2. We talk about the surprise teams at 3 wins. I think TSM's one of them, and look legitimately good, and that becomes a question of who can actually win that game now. Who knows how the fans are going to vote for it, but at least like it does feel like one where I wouldn't actually be shocked if TSM won anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation to be had, because I think for us, we were at least yesterday, Jat, you've been talking about who's the second best team in the league. Seems like it's getting easier and easier to tell, but hard to put your gut out and say Team Liquid just because of the last split that we've seen.
I'm going to make a pivot.
EG? You're pivoting.
EG.
It's Golden Guardians.
Oh my God, that is I don't believe you.
Boring pivot you could have. You could have got.
I don't believe him.
He came in with the hot take of yesterday of IMT are going to finish higher than Golden
And I was
Guardians
wrong.
in the first round.
Yeah, you were wrong. Before you made the take, you were wrong.
The best team isn't the team with the second best record. It means the second best team.
Yes.
I'm over this. We're gonna go to a stats segment. I decided I've had enough of Jat.
Okay.
We're halfway through the first round robin. We're gonna mess around in stats and just pull up the internal tool that we use here at Riot whenever we look around. And instead of trying to fit everything into a fancy graphic, I just have the ability now to go wherever I want. And so
Really big graphic.
really, really big graphic is a way to think about this. That's interactive too. So for example, I can say, hey, who's got the highest KDA?
Berserker.
And it's Berserker, who has only died once through 5 games and has a 51 KDA.
Who killed him?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm sure we can figure it out, whichever game that happened in.
Someone dig into the VoD.
Why do you, like, I have this incredible stats tool, and you ask, like, the questions I can't answer. You know, like, who's second? What's his gold difference? Like,
That's just the coolest thing to me. It's like the one death, the Berserker stopper.
I want to see if we can get to 100.
Yeah, I think the 51
Yeah, that'd be cool.
KDA through 5 games.
What if it's just the fountain?
Ridiculous.
You know?
Dude, every time we do this, every time we point out that someone has like a 75 KDA, they die like 4 times.
Yeah,
We just cursed
it
it.
usually gets cursed pretty quick. Looking at biggest goal differences at 14, who do you think has the best early game? It's Summit, of course. Not too much of a surprise.
Yeah, the JoJo Blabber are also like really close, and I'd say the biggest surprise is Piosik after how awful he was in spring.
Yeah, having a huge
84.
bounce back.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Actually, question about jungle proximity for Summit, because that was the surprise last split was how well he was doing in lane with lower jungle proximity. Want to see how he does in this league.
So I heard that we figured out who killed him.
What?
You guys can all guess who killed Berserker, and I'll let you know.
That's
The
so
producers told me.
hard.
There's only 25 options because he's played 5 games. One of those 25 people killed him.
Okay,
I'll
who
give
you
you a
play?
hint.
I mean,
It's a
I'm-
Dignitas player.
Ooh.
Oh.
Tomo!
There.
No. Tomo's out.
Diamond!
I mean, it's
No,
Rich.
you only get one
It
guess.
must be Rich.
It's not Rich.
Even though he's the best player on the team?
In the world, actually. Go ahead.
Santorin?
It is Santorin.
Yes!
Santorin's the one person who has killed Berserker
Lucky
so far
guess.
this split. We'll see who can get number 2.
Mark, how easily is it to see their game-by-game performances?
I can do that, but that's a waste of time.
Is it? So, like, literally, so I see, is it though? I see Piosik and Summit at like 1,100, at,
All right,
at
so-
800. I want to see, like, is that 5,000 in one game? and
Who
even
are
all the other?
who are you wondering about?
Kind of just the top. So, like, I want to see Summit.
Okay.
Because he's a very hit or miss, like, feast or famine player.
Yeah. So this is just showing off how cool this tool is. So I can go that, and then
If
I can
you're good at it, which-
yeah, I can break it out by match date. So now these are the days
Oh my
that they
God.
played.
Okay.
I would have to check which opponents. I
So
could put
yeah, let's look
opponent
at this
team in
gold.
there.
Yeah, then we'll see who he did it to.
Yeah. So he had a 56 CSD over poor Solo.
Solo, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's a pretty monstrous 3001.
Rich obviously stood his ground.
Well,
No one can
Ornn game
topple
where-
Rich.
That was actually the Ornn
Yeah.
game where Piosik dove him twice. So putting that
Yeah.
out there, justice for Solo.
The other thing that stands out to me is I noticed he was not top in forward percentage.
Yeah, we can go back to that.
That 100 Thieves game, dragging his average down. Because I remember, like, regardless of how well TL were doing as a team, they had such insane early games in spring. Summit was always top in forward percentage. But now, Fudge and Someday have surpassed him.
Can you
thus
show
far
me
in summer.
Blabber's gold differences game by game as well?
Yeah, I can do
Because
that.
there was that one game where he was really far ahead of Santorin, and I want to see how much that skews the average.
I love how all of this is just us asking multiple questions.
Well, that's what this segment
Isn't
was
that
to
the
me.
point?
It's us just digging around. I want to go like
We're
position
asking a
by
lot,
position
though.
to get like actual rankings in a second, so we don't
Okay.
waste too much time just digging into individual players. But
These are the
Okay.
stars, though.
these are the stars. This is Blabber individual games.
Over
Yeah.
Santorini.
That is dragging the average up.
But really cool that he actually hasn't been behind at 14 in any of his games.
I mean, that sounds like Blabber to me, though.
Yeah.
He's a beast power farmer, makes good ganks, all that stuff.
Wow.
Let's go by some positions. What positions are you guys interested in?
AD carry actually for me.
You want to see some AD carry stuff other than
AD carry
Berserker? Who
stuff.
else is doing well?
Yeah,
we
who
know
else is-
Berserker's good.
Who else is vibing?
Yawn, I bet.
Jan's
makes
probably
sense.
popping off.
Yeah.
I'm interested in like people who are on struggling teams like FBI. FBI for me, I'm I'm wondering about.
He's dying a lot.
Turtles, look at that lead for Turtle. What
Whoa.
the?
Ooh.
I mean, it's still small enough sample size that if you have one game where you hard dumpster
Yeah.
someone, it'll
Yeah, it's
skew the
weird.
whole average up. But it is cool to see like, hey, Turtle's actually doing pretty good.
Yeah, also they play towards him quite a bit.
Stixxay, Yawn, Berserker scaling because he's got weighed down by Sven.
Actually, so can you go to jungle procs at 14? I want to see who gets the most jungle help.
Probably Turtle. Yeah.
Yep.
Because that is their entire team.
Boogie's a big
camp.
camper too. He loves hanging around lanes.
Yeah. So that's like that was consistent last split
Oh,
where
Blabber's not helping Berserker either.
no matter who the AD carry was, including Neo, they were gonna play the bot lane. So that's pretty consistent.
Oh, you know what we didn't check was who's feeding this split. Who's
how do we check this?
early candidate for most deaths?
Oh,
Just
Tomo.
raw deaths.
That'll happen.
Yeah.
So
Like,
crazy. Look at how many 80 carries are up there.
Yeah.
Right? Tomo,
Yeah.
FBI, and
Yeah,
Prince.
wait, that is weird.
Yeah.
It does feel like maybe there's this like hard target the bot lane. Like ganks don't go top really.
Yeah.
Ganks don't go mid that often.
80 carries are overpowered, but they're also getting killed a lot.
Yeah.
Because
they know that.
And because of the meta, they're like probably the sole damage of their composition. So we're just diving them.
And then like your tank runs away, your jungler's like, oh no, the fight's over.
Malphite's like, all right, guys, show's over. I'm going home.
Let's check out mid laners a little bit, see what we got. JoJo is absolutely hulking out again, by the way. We were
Yeah.
talking about that.
Yeah.
Jesus,
Holy
20.
moly.
Woo! Jungle proximity for this one has to be JoJo.
Yeah, he is jungle
Yeah.
prox.
Yeah.
He's got Armeo in his back pocket.
he does.
Hell yeah.
But to
Fucking
me, I
man.
will say this: the game where Armeo was on Viego and went mid a bunch of times in a row, that was off the back of JoJo winning from level 1
Yeah.
in trades and having him perma shoved in and stuff to enable those. But you know, it's like chicken or the egg. I think
Can
that
we
one
do
was.
the game-by-game JoJo breakdown to see where this Giga CS and Gold League came from?
I mean, part of it is
Small thing before you do.
what's that?
2 games for Quid, high jungle proximity. 3 games for Nuke Duck, the lowest jungle proximity.
Left him on an island. Don't start the quit hype train, man.
I'm starting
Wait, no,
the
that's a
Nuke Duck
Nuke Duck hype
That's
train.
a Nuke Duck hype train. Just throwing that out there quickly.
Oh, no.
Oh, did I say
Awesome. Low
hype train?
sample
I said
size.
hate train. Don't
Yeah.
start the quit hate train.
It's the low sample
sure.
size hate
Yeah.
train.
It's 2 games.
Harry's having a good lane phase. Eminez the good lane phase. Good leads.
All drama starts with low sample sizes.
That's
Yeah,
true.
true.
That is a very quick way, like saying that I was crazy for putting them 7th after they lost to FlyQuest. Ha!
Wild.
How'd that one work out? We don't know yet, actually. Oops.
Zimmerman report.
Whoops. Don't look at that.
Whoopsies.
It's got my social security number in there.
Freeze frame.
All right, you wanted to say
Someone
who
actually-
again?
I just want the JoJo game-by-game breakdown
Right.
because he's leading in CSD at 20. And
We need to get some
gold.
pictures in here.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Some images.
Yeah, just JoJo. This guy's got a thick
what?
neck. dude.
My God.
Thick.
JoJo, good looking.
Wait, who's the
This is
thick neck guy
consistent.
in
Oh my
MSI?
God. 19,
actually makes
19,
it-
20,
Yeah.
19, 24.
That's
Makes it
Bong's
more
silhouette.
impressive to me, actually.
I feel like even when JoJo was like doing poorly last split though,
Look how
I
consistent the
mean,
jungle procs is,
actually,
too.
you could probably check this as well if you're willing to dig into last split, or I don't know if you want to stay on current numbers. But I felt like he was always CSing really well.
Yeah.
JoJo?
Yeah, like he
Yeah.
was still a really, really strong laner. Like I remember during the looking at laning stuff from last split.
Yeah.
It wasn't
the thing
quite as
that like
nuts.
yeah.
Across
That's
the whole
true.
split,
It's-
plus 4.5 is actually pretty good. That would have been like first or second in the league, I bet.
We can find out.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Actually, wait.
Statman Mark.
This is like a radar speed test for Mark.
Yeah.
It is, it really is.
I want position. That's what I was doing.
Okay, let's see if you can figure this one out, Mark.
It's not that hard. I just have to type in mid. If I can actually type. And then just get rid of JoJo Pune.
Yeah. And then it'll be all mid laners for the LCS in year
Against this
2023.
year, yeah.
Nice.
And we'll break it down by season.
Yep. Who had the best CSD? It's
But
obviously
you'd
JoJo
actually
this
want to
split,
get
but-
rid of. I mean, we'll be able to tell.
Oh,
but you,
yeah.
Yeah. Harry's second right now. Gori, yeah. But you see, it was like 5.2. Like, there weren't monstrous CSD.
Yeah, my instinct was
he's
right.
He's still
0.1
top
off a
3
second.
for
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was the thing, though. JoJo's lane phase was not the problem. It was the deaths. and
Except,
stuff.
look, he was getting 5% less jungle ganks. Like, actually, the amount of jungle procs that he's getting now is probably higher than anyone has had in the last 2 splits. Like,
Well, Inspired's a lot more efficiency focused, kind of like a Blabber
Yeah.
playstyle, whereas Armeos is very happy to camp lanes.
Yeah.
yeah, and the Young is based off of 2 games. So, like, of 5 games or more, this is the most a jungler has been mid lane in all of the LCS.
Makes sense to me.
Are JoJo and Armeo the best mid jungle
They're best
in
friends.
the LCS?
Best of buds.
Let's do the important stats, support stats. Here we go.
They're the
CS?
Zach and, they're the
Support
Zach
CS?
and Cody of the LCS.
No, I'm kidding. All right, let's move on to team stuff. We don't have too much more time, but I just want to go through a couple of quick team things.
fun.
I am a
actually have
stats nerd.
I have a lot more questions for you, but I've been dominating the questions.
I don't mind. It's like I feel like people either hate this segment because they don't care, or it's like the best thing they've ever seen. There's no middle ground.
Waiting room.
Yep. So Gold Lead, Team Liquid dominating. But what I find interesting is that their game time is actually 31 minutes, which is pretty standard. C9, 27-43 through 5 wins is nuts, but it's like just a good Gold Lead, which speaks to how clean they are in the mid game, whereas Team Liquid struggles a little bit more. And also, their combined kills per minute is actually one of the lower teams in the league because they don't die. They've only died 30 times total, whereas the next closest is like 41, 43 or something. So their combined kills per minute is low because they're actually just a very clean team. What else do you guys want to poke around with?
I was looking at.
FlyQuest is so miserable, dude.
Yeah, I was
looking
gonna say,
at
like,
that.
look at major deficit.
Is there a way to remove FlyQuest from the data pool? Don't want to look at it.
That's what I was looking at, because time spent with a major deficit, FlyQuest dominates that over IMT, which I was surprised. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
they're 0-5, so I shouldn't be, but still.
Yeah, I mean, major leads the other thing too. They haven't been in many winning positions. I think that's interesting for Dig, the fact that they're 2-3 but have not been consistently in winning positions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They play a
that's
lot
the
of close
weirdest
games.
thing with Fly for me, or maybe not the weirdest thing. A lot of times when like a team with really high expectations has a bad record, you can usually look in the stats and find some redeeming quality.
Yeah.
Like, oh, their early game is really good, but they've had a few throws, or
Team
they've
Liquid
kept
last
a lot of
split.
close games, or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But FlyQuest actually has, like, the best you could do would be their games are pretty long, despite how bad their early game is.
Yeah.
But that's really reaching.
Yeah. We can hold on from behind. We turtle
Yeah.
pretty good when we're losing.
We're turtling.
That's rough.
Yeah, it does not have much good plays to work on. I guess we can look at Dragon percents. Do we care about that? I can look
Yes,
up.
now. I
I'm
mean,
actually-
Can you do
I'm
first Drake
curious.
time?
Yeah.
Like what, how first Drake?
Let me see. I don't know if there's time. There's first Drake percent. Oh, first Dragon time. It's in there.
Boom.
Who gets the dragons fastest?
I'm interested.
I hope this isn't just the baseline lowest. Yeah, this looks like
I
average.
believe this will
Average.
be
Yeah, you can mouse over and it'll tell
Yeah,
you
there we
average.
go. So when they get first dragon,
Sorry, let me pull this stat over more so it's not.
this must be when their team gets the first
Yeah,
dragon.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
C9.
Yeah, so if
C9.
the other team gets first dragon, it's really gonna turbo your average.
Yeah.
Right, so like Dig doesn't control dragons, so the first
Yeah.
dragon they get is actually like third when they're contesting something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Look at TSM up there. I have noticed, actually, like, after looking at Bugi early pathing, plus just, like, how Insanity is playing mid, they do a pretty good job of trying to prioritize first Drake early.
Yeah, I can put on first dragon percent too, so you can see for their
Oh, yeah,
averages.
yeah.
You know, like Dig only gets it 20% of the time, so their first dragon time is quite terrible. Whereas this is all C9s,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the other teams are between like 60 and 40.
Interesting, yeah, to see FlyQuest up there.
Yeah.
Hey,
A lot of big surprises
redeeming
here.
quality.
A lot of big surprises here.
You found it.
All right, Mark, I'm going to pull you from this one now.
All right, I hope
Yeah.
people enjoyed this. Let us know in the comments or like wherever,
Tweet
Twitter,
at us,
tweet at
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, but like let us know if you like that, because I personally really
if
like
they do, I want to make it like a Wednesday thing.
in general.
Like the Wednesday
Yeah.
waiting room, we look at stats.
Maybe not every week, but like especially heading into
Or it's
like
the Friday thing.
especially like week 5 and week 6, heading into
Yes.
MVP
Yeah.
voting and these kinds of things. Like
Yeah,
I
I
really
like
like
that.
getting nitty gritty.
Especially when we have a larger sample size. When we have a larger sample size, people will definitely want to. And also, just let us know which stat you are most interested in, because that's something that is nice to hit
Control
on.
wards placed.
Yeah.
No one cares. But who does care?
Prince does not place control wards. That's a stat I
We
found
did
earlier.
learn
He's
that.
less
another-
than one
Yeah.
a game.
That is a
He's
surprise.
placed 4 and 5 games.
There are other surprises, though, and for us, it's going to be the teams that surprised us the most coming into this split.
Yeah.
So let's talk about them.
TSM.
TSM is a big one.
Yeah.
You could hit on TSM immediately. So actually talk to us about the team.
Yeah, looking through a lot of those stats, they were low-key good, and I really am looking forward to this graphic because it tells us a nice visual representation of what their strength of schedule has been. So TSM did Team Liquid, FlyQuest, Cloud9. As a first 3 before the season, you'd think, holy crap, they're doomed. Then their last 2 against Immortals Energy may seem a little bit easier, but they are 3-2. And Insanity has been there the whole time.
Yes.
They signed him as a, quote, like, 6th LCS roster member before the split. He's been performing really well. And the other thing I learned yesterday in a conversation with Hauntzer is they have been grinding
Yep.
with this new format. So during a regular week, they will do their regular scrim blocks on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
They will then play night blocks every day, which gives them 8 scrims a day. And even yesterday, he said, oh yeah, after this, we're going to play a full block of scrims.
Yeah.
So their scrim volume is extremely high, probably the highest in the league. I'd have to check with everyone, but they're playing a lot of games, and I think early on it's paying off.
I really like it too, because I think there's a lot of hesitation around this roster, not just in terms of like the org potentially leaving the space, but also like you're bringing Turtle back, you're bringing Hauntzer back, some older members. Like, are they going to care? Like, I think there was a lot of concern from fans about that, but they're grinding really hard and they're looking really good. We just saw in the stats deep dive, Turtle's up there, Hauntzer's been playing very well.
Yeah, and as a team, that was, for me, the big surprise. Around major objectives, they highly prioritize, you can tell. Sometimes they'll just sack waves bot side when it's like, no, it's Rift Herald time. So the Malphite's parking himself straight around Rift Herald.
Week 1 was Malphite,
Yep.
week 2 was Cassante.
There it is. And a lot of the times, like, they've done a really good job at clearing vision and being really disciplined around that. I think, like, Hauntzer being added to the team does help a lot of times. And another thing is, like, Chime's not talked about enough. He's been a really good support that's been engaging at the right times. And it feels really difficult if they have position around an objective for teams to fight them back. They are just a good team. And that's the thing that I wanted to point out was like, yes, their players are performing, but a lot of times poor teams that have good early splits is because, oh, this player's overperforming. It's going to start, fading away once other teams are just a lot more consistent. No, they're just a really good squad around objectives, and I think that carries themselves throughout the split.
I'm going to take the super easy one in TL.
Okay.
Because I do think,
Is it because their
this
schedule
is the
was
absolute,
super easy, like JoJo said?
Let's see. Their schedule was what? TSM,
Pretty
100
easy.
Thieves.
It's actually
Their
not that
schedule
hard.
is pretty easy.
Yeah.
And then they lost to Dignitas. So we'll see. I do think the real test kind of starts with them today going up against EG, the other team that's up here. But one thing I do think you can say has had demonstrable effect, and obviously fell off a little bit yesterday with some of those mid and late game teamfight setups, but is their actual team fighting, is their neutral objective setups. They do seem to be a lot more on the same page. So whatever is going on internally that was allowing them to do these, Summits TPing in mid, Kyoshik's going in, and the rest of the team isn't there, that we saw across almost all of their mid to late game team fights in spring. They have actually shored that up quite a bit.
Yeah, they're not going to be perfect. They still dropped that game to Dignitas, but they have gotten better. And I think individually as well, Summit is not died nearly as many times, has not had those big oopsie plays. Pioshik's been a lot better. Like
Unless he's playing against Rich.
Yeah.
But that's not a Summit mistake. That's a Rich being the best player.
Rich is really good.
That is a Summit mistake.
Yeah.
That is a Summit mistake.
Talk about EG. You're incapable of being unbiased
Positive about
against
Rich. So it's fine.
You cannot
just
talk
move
about
on.
Rich.
We're talking about low
Just move
sample
on.
sizes, so we can talk about EG, which is another big surprise because yes, they blew up their spring roster. That was, I'm sure, funded a lot into it. And you bring in players that had struggling histories. Like, for instance, Ayla just came off of FlyQuest. You expect them to perform much more worse than Vulcan. That has not been the case. Another one is Armeo coming in to prove himself. He has performed incredibly well, especially on that Viego game where he was the hard carry. So individuals on Evil Geniuses are performing, and that's, I think, the surprise for a lot of people, including me, who placed them low in the power rankings. But as a team, that's another thing. It was like, okay, it's a completely new team, literally scattered Dragon Balls coming together. Everyone has said the scattered Dragon Balls analogy, right?
Actually?
Everyone has said that.
It's the best analogy ever.
Yes, it's incredible, right?
This is
Every single
First
person.
time I've heard that.
No,
He said it before.
you're just under a rock.
It's literally
Exactly. I've
Rez.
said it
Boomer
before.
Jet,
On-
never watched
on
Dragon
this
Ball.
set.
Check the tapes.
But
I don't believe you.
I'm taking it from
Check the tapes.
the community sentiment. But yeah, go on.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I love that this is a revenge team, both literally and figuratively, because like you said, every single one of these players, like, right, Revenge, the top laner that everyone was like, oh, this guy's so much better than the teams he's been on. Like, other tops were constantly saying how much they respected Revenge, especially in laning phase. Armeo, someone who was coaching, has been passed over by so many NA teams, even after subbing in a final and nearly winning.
Yes.
JoJo, who fell off compared to his phenomenal rookie season. In spring, people were like, oh, maybe he's just not that good, sophomore slump, etc. Unforgiven, former LEC All-Pro, couldn't find a team, is now on here, really wants to prove, again, that he could have started previously when he was on 100 Thieves Challengers last split. And then Ayla, whose story we've already talked to death, right? Like, got replaced by Vulcan on FlyQuest, came to EG, and they're just rolling.
So we're going to be seeing a lot of these teams for the rest of the day. One team that we will be seeing, the surprise team, I suppose, is TSM right now, going up against Golden Guardians. So that's going to be a match that we're going to be talking about for the first game of the day. This one's a tricky one. TSM, we already talked about doing much better than we expected. You talked about their scrim, how much they've been scrimming. So they actually might take this upset versus Golden Guardians that started the split kind of rough. So yes, let's take a look at the schedule. We talked about that first game of the day. Immortals Progressive going up against 100 Thieves. Team Liquid Honda going up against Evil Geniuses. FlyQuest versus Dignitas. C9 versus NRG. Feels like there's a lot of upset potential this day.
It's a great day. And there's upset potential because so many teams have performed different to expectations, and we're waiting to see if it corrects. And it looks like some teams are going to be in incredibly deep holes if they don't correct themselves, namely 100 Thieves and FlyQuest. So it's really one of those spice days to see what happens.
Exactly. And so let's just talk about TSM a little bit more, because we did hit on them earlier and how much they've been pushing and getting better and better. This is kind of like the objective fighting that they've had. There's a lot of highlights here individually. What are you looking at?
I loved Chime in this team fight. Looping everyone up, stalling for Turtle to collapse. Hauntzer as well did a great job, and I think that's what I really like to see, is that they do a really good job in team fighting. Hauntzer off that just malfight duty. It was really nice to see that he can play the Cassante. You know, it wasn't like they were just picking it because he's bad, and they're like, yeah, just put him on malfight so he can soft lose the game and then ult when it matters. You know, like, this was a really nice game to see them actually step up. And Sanity's still slamming weird stuff like Graves mid. It wasn't just a one-time thing. People are gonna like, do we ban this now? Actually, like, they're a really cool team to watch.
There was a really funny anecdote. We were talking to him behind the scenes when he was doing content with us, and he was just like, we were just like, yeah, like what was up with the malfight? And he was like, oh yeah, coach just told me to play it. So like unironically, he was like, yeah, I was just playing
team player.
What they asked me to. Like it's not because I don't have hands.
Blue collar guys.
Insanity said the same thing to you on stage. Never played Graves.
That was a lie, though.
I know. That was funny as hell. So yes, TSM's a team that there's a lot to hit on for that squad. They're going to be going up against Golden Guardians. I'm just interested in what the predictions look like. I think that one to me, because today is a big day.
Fan votes have been 90% often. I can't expect it much.
Ooh, we have two that are almost going 50-50.
What the hell, Mark?
Dignitas, 50,
Did you do the predictions today, Mark?
These are my predictions today.
So
I'm actually surprised you're the only dig. I thought I was going to be spicy with the FlyQuest prediction.
I feel like a couple of these are more one-sided than they should be. Like, Dig versus Fly is legitimately close. I think TSM versus Golden Guardians is probably actually close.
They're both 3-2.
Yeah. Like, these are close games to me. I think it's much more reflective in fan vote this time, because we've seen a lot of 90s, and only the C9 one.
That's the crazy one. The fan vote, 51% Dignitas. So the fans are now turning towards Dignitas and against FlyQuest.
Yeah, I'm not going to, because there's no way FlyQuest can lose every game. So
I've seen teams do it before.
Never in North America has anyone lost every game.
They won one?
They won the first.
Yeah.
Or the second.
1 in 17?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
We've never had a winless LCS team. One thing that I think is interesting is that we all predicted EG. I assume, like, tentatively, because I also feel like that game could go either way. I had a really difficult time with predictions today. But the fans were just slightly TL favored. So that's really interesting.
Okay.
I mean, I'm so surprised 80% think Golden Guardians. That feels like living in last split a little bit too much. I feel like, you know, they have interesting picks. I think Gori versus Insanity is the highlight, because they both have very deep champion pools and can kind of reach and kind of pull anything into the mid lane.
Yeah, there's a lot to hit on today. I'm really interested to see what Golden Guardians has to cook for us in their drafts. I mean, I'm sure the caster is going to touch on that, because you got a lot of time to do it, and they're the most creative teams, it feels like. So we're done talking. We're done with waiting room, and we'll see you guys after this. Show starting now.
You know, it's always really special when I get to come to LCS and experience everything that the LCS has to offer.
You know, I like Cubby. I just really don't know what he's been doing all week. He was supposed to be prepping, and instead he's just been solo queuing the smoothie bar every single day.
Hello, my friends. It is my pleasure to introduce the Smoothie King himself, Cubby. See, pastry time seemed a little judgy on the way you were prepping, but I think you make sure that you have all the nutrients that you need to give us the energy that we need today. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. You know, I got to enjoy everything the LCS has to offer, whether that's the smoothies or some of the good gameplay we're hopefully going to be treated to later today. As I know for this first match, 2 teams at 3-2, but if a surprise in the standings with everything being talked about preseason, TSM I think overperforming and have a good chance to continue that today against Golden Guardians.
And not many knew what to expect from this TSM roster. Some that we saw in the previous split, some rising from challengers, and then Golden Guardians still in that positive record 3-2. While they do have 2 losses, they're against teams like Cloud9 that have been smashing through everybody else. So we'll see how these 2 teams fare against one another today.
Yeah, and diving in, I think one of the things that's been really interesting this week is that actually each team with the new patch coming in has had a different read on the marksman. TSM putting that big focus on the Jinx for Turtle, whereas Stixxay has been on that new Varus build with the Shiv, the AP varieties. So my eyes are really on that to see if either team get their hands on it. Because for me, TSM, really one of the only teams playing Jinx this week, and Turtles looked really good tonight.
I think that Raz was making the point on the desk how these are the 2 teams that have been adapting more than anyone else, though, as you're noting, Cubby, in very different ways. So how much are they going to stick to the strategies we have seen thus far versus bringing some variation? Actually, when I saw WildTurtle in makeup, I was like, you having fun on the Jinx? It seems like it's been working well for y'all. And of course, he had a smile on his face because who wouldn't after coming off of a 2-0 on the pick?
Yeah, now Vi left open through the draft, so that's going to be instantly locked in for River. Still a pick that we're seeing a lot of presence, at least mostly when it comes to bans, but Vi getting through seems like teams still want to get their hands on that on 13-12. Less Enchantresses, but still the ability for Vi to go that early Cleaver or Divine Sunder, depending on how aggressive you want to get, and with that being spotted, point-and-click CC. Going to be a little bit more safety for Turtle this time around as he locks in the Xayah.
Yeah, you always have that escapability available through the ultimate of Xayah, and he has been playing a bit of that in solo queue as well alongside the Jinx. So a pick that's coming into prominence across multiple teams in the LCS. Maokai, forever safe pick from the jungle position to offer that lockdown, coming from the brush with your ultimate to create those team fight opportunities.
Yeah, Bugi, he's 2-0 on the pick this week, so he's just been on Maokai dude now for the entire week for TSM, as now Golden Guardians. I gotta say, with that Vi showing, there is the opportunity to have a lot of aggression onto the Maokai, at least in the earlier stages of the game, which I think really fits what GG wanted to do in spring and has done so far this summer. So expect to find them some push elsewhere in lane, and taking that Azir definitely fits that identity, as if they are able to chip out their lanes, you can support Vi invading, and that is where Vi can set that Maokai behind. You can really drive in an early game lead.
And when it comes to Gori on this Azir, he's already been warming it up this split, but all mid laners having some level experience on the time old pick, and Vi as well, a comfort pick for River. We're gonna hover of Leona for a moment, but Licorice looking to bring out the Jax, and I think Golden Guardians, Cubby, what do you make of the way they have been able to utilize split push comps and not just shoving out waves, but making sure they're really offering that threat on multiple portions of the map?
I think it's funny you bring that up, because I actually think it's a combo between we see Licorice take some more early game priority, but then also huhi this week's been on that rel, which we're going to have to look out for in the next phase of draft, because when you are able to shove out one of the lanes, it sometimes allows huhi to sneak in, find some of these angles. That has been really good for GG, as they're looking for their 3rd win this week, 4th in a row, as Golden Guardians, after dropping to C9 and EG, have started to get a little bit hot. And TSM wrap up this phase of draft. Gonna lock in that Gragas, so technically going to be a flex going into the next phase of draft, but frankly, I do expect that one to be in the hands of Hauntzer on the top side.
Yeah, could be so, could be so. Even with a little bit of a touch onto Gragas here in patch 13.12, still somebody that offers that flexibility in draft and just that versatility, what he can offer in the team fight, specifically holding it down in lane. But we'll see what happens for huhi now that the Rel has been banned away. Because the Varus-Rel combo specifically, it wasn't just huhi on the Rel, it was Stixxay, some great ultimates, and then obviously with the new building paths that you have for Varus, so much damage he can do later in the game on that pick.
Actually surprised to see the Blitzcrank taken away. I think that personally, I would like to see the Gragas flex almost maintained throughout the draft, so I feel like support being grabbed here makes sense. Rakan, of course, is off the board, has been since the first phase, so no ability to find that pairing. But we'll see if Chime's able to pick something up, as I think we're going to see that Gragas flex be maintained as, okay, no. Actually, just going to be that Graves mid, so it's been Maokai duty all week for Bugi. Insanity now on the Graves for the third time this week, because that has been a new pick that no one else is playing and has looked good for TSM so far.
Yeah, so even though they did make that switch up in that bot line position, taking Xayah early, they do still have those 2 points of consistency.
I would like this pick a lot, actually. I think that Xayah, Graves, both very vulnerable to range. So if Golden Guardians were to find some bonus range elsewhere, it could be nice. But hey, Aphelios, that has been, I still think, the dominant marksman on this patch. And if you do pair this up with an Enchantress, I mean, Milio did see some nerfs in this patch, but would give Aphelios that bonus range where he is so scary. Of course, whenever you have to interact with Aphelios, the amount of damage he's able to do with any guns that he has could be very good. But no, huhi, he's sticking to the engage.
Yeah, the engage that has been coming back into the meta since some of the changes on 13.12. I feel like Aphelios for so long has had that identity with enchanters because of the reasons that you're saying. Milio being strong, we've had Yuumi, we've had Lulu, but originally when Aphelios became a pick within the game of League of Legends, there were ways to try and combo off of the initiative of some of these engaged supports. For instance, if you can use the lockdown of Gravitum, try and get some slows to offer more of an opportunity for Leona to get that lock, then it could be a dangerous lane for TSM to face, but they end up responding with the Alistar.
Yeah, TSM, they end up matching the engage. I have to say, this is something where TSM, they have to execute the bounce house on the 2 carries when it comes to the Azir and the Aphelios, but there are so many tools that Golden Guardians has to actually blow that ultimate from Xayah. So I think a lot of it, keep your eyes out for huhi to see if he can trade ult for ult, because that might open up the Vi to then dive in with Gori afterwards, as I think Golden Guardians have to get that cooldown out first before they're able to fully attack the side of TSM.
So do you give Golden Guardians the advantage based on the drafts that they have, or do you think that TSM have enough disengage here to keep them at bay?
I'm a bit concerned for TSM in the early game, because we're going to have to see how much push this Aphelios Leona can get to support the Vi invades. I think that at least Graves is able to really push back Azir early, which might give Bugi some of that protection. And it's been a nice combo with the Graves Maokai, because when you have that mid prio, it gets a lot harder to actually find Maokai, fight him early, which Vi is really good at. So I think that for me, it's a lot about Insanity hovering to protect Bugi, and then get Maokai to those later stages where once he has items, it's so tough to take them back from him in those saplings.
All right, well, we'll have to see how TSM fare, if they can riddle the rift with saplings everywhere to keep themselves protected against Golden Guardians that are looking for that proactivity off the back of their jungler River, who has proven to love that style, but we'll see what they can pull off here in the early moments.
River this game, it really feels like Golden Guardians this week has somewhat returned to that identity that gave them so much success in spring, which has been playing a bit quicker and playing with priority, as once they get leads, this is a team that we really feel like plays together well as 5 when it comes to executing things. I remember the first time I was up on this stage last split for LCS, it was River who actually toppled 100 Thieves and Bjergsen on a huge Vi game where he picked up the most valuable player of that game. And honestly, want to see River, what he's able to do on his first Vi game of the split this time around.
Yeah, and I think that also hits on a point when it comes to Golden Guardians' approach to this split, because I was watching the interview that their GM Spooks did with Digon recently, or their coach rather, and he was speaking about how they wanted to make sure they bring back some of that environment that worked well for them in spring, with that consistency, with that relaxed nature, but still be able to push the button on new compositions, be able to adapt as they're trying to show now, adapting to TSM's aggressive push into their own territory.
we'll see how close Chime can get, or if TSM just wants to kind of distract, as it's a bit of a game of chicken now. Stixxay is going to sprint towards that bot lane, and we'll see if WildTurtle actually misses any melee creeps from this, as that could set him pretty far behind, as Bugi will be able to successfully get off this Raptor trade. Doesn't actually have to smite. And huhi's trying to help River rush this down. He's got to smite this before Bugi's able to get here.
Still hanging around. Chime's going for it in the twisted advance. Bugi's getting the hit, setting up. Chime knocks it down, but it's TSM with the team first blood.
Great start for TSM. We were talking about how Graves has push. You can actually go support jungle invades. This time, able to help out Maokai as he does Raptors very quickly. We also see Maokai start that solo, able to steal it away. Save the smite to try and get the red buff. River was able to secure that, but of course goes down, also burns that flash. So already early game we were setting up, hey, if I can get in that face of Maokai, try and punish him. Bugi's off to a really safe start now. As River is forced to the top side of the jungle, Bugi should know he's there, and Bugi has the rest of his jungle to farm himself.
And it's very much highlighting exactly what Golden Guardians are trying to do, be early and proactive, but TSM punishing it here with this invade. Definitely turning the tables against a team that wants to go for those early spikes.
The only option now... oh, hold on. Gori's going to take some more damage from Insanity as he's brought very low. Again, this Graves... all he does is just, you know, turn your brain off and push, right? That's what Insanity said in this post-game interview after the first one. Is like, hey, we just need to shove, support this Maokai. It's going well so far, but huhi, he's already snuck out of the lane here, and we'll see if Insanity is wiser to it. He's playing very far back. As River's going to get the bad news of those Raptors. Oh, actually being taken by Bugi. He might go to the red buff. Bugi going to hover mid, and River, we'll see if he can pick up anything on the top side. Of course, he is down camps from that first invade.
Some good awareness by Insanity. You can see huhi from Golden Guardians hovering around mid, River pushing up into the enemy jungle, so no reason to accidentally get caught out when you already have that advantage from first blood afforded to your team. And Insanity, yeah, making a statement on Graves in game one. See if he can follow up here on Bugi's play. huhi able to zip away with the E and the walkout. That's one way to create some distance.
Actually, a beautiful buffer from huhi there on the Zenith Blade. Able to get through that pull from Alistar, and seeing Bugi there, that means that River can actually take the red buff away on the back half. So River's done an okay job of recovering. He can get that topside crab as well, whereas TSM still playing towards that priority. There's a stacking wave in the bot side. We'll see if Bugi, TSM, maybe look for a dive.
We're potentially setting up for
this could be big.
The wave is now here for them to follow up. TSM, they keep their eyes on to Stixxay. The first lockdown, double knockup from Chime.
Beautiful.
And WildTurtle's able to dish out the feathers as much as possible, juggling with the aggro so Turtle stays on in it. They're seeing if they can get at least some of the plates here as they continue to pressure onto huhi. The Zenith Blades away. WildTurtle has to stun and cleanse out, but the kill is good. TSM with a clean dive. River wants some cleanup though. Bugi and Turtle still low. No flash. Charging up the Q. Does he go for it? River gets one more luck. Takes down the tree. A bit of a trade there on the tail end.
River is able to answer back, but the start for TSM, everything they denied from this Aphelios is massive early, as we talked about the bouncy house for TSM. You know, later you have the Gragas, the Alistar, the Maokai. You can get people up in the air. They're doing it early, playing together. And I love how they're playing through the priority that they were able to find in their lanes, with Graves first invading jungle, putting River behind. He was forced to the top side. Guess what, TSM? We're just going to stack up a bot wave, be able to get this dive off, and they executed this beautifully.
I mean, Bugi making sure to use all the lockdown that he has from this Maokai. And even when WildTurtle has to use the summoners to flash away, they have that patience. They know that huhi can't dish enough damage back to be able to really make anything of the tail end.
Yeah, only bummer from this for the side of TSM is that Chime ended up walking away with 3 kills. So this is a plump cow that we have on the Rift right now that Golden Guardians might be looking to hunt later.
Isn't it better when your cows are plump?
I mean, it's nice
what you're planning to do with the cows.
Nice when you get a shutdown on you, you know? Maybe Golden Guardians can look to find that a little bit later. So it is a 1K Goldie for TSM off some of the plays they made early. Golden Guardians were able to snag the dragon on the back side of that. But still, a lot of the time they've been able to buy for this Maokai to not get invaded early has been nice. And now Bugi, he's going to show up mid, help Insanity a little bit.
Gori on the Azir has the range to be able to step back, and Golden Guardians had previously gotten that dragon, so even though there was that skirmish on the bot side, when you're able to make sure that you get the follow-up kill onto the enemy jungler, GG can make that play towards it first. to keep some semblance of control here at 6.5 minutes, just about 1,000 gold up for TSM because of the kill pressure that they have been executing on the bot side.
And not only that, but where they've denied gold for Golden Guardians, you know, setting that Aphelios behind, that could be big later in the game as a lot of this comp for TSM. They're going to have to use their ultimates to really cleanly execute Aphelios later as Insanity going for that lethality build. If you're able to combine with Maokai or Gragas to displace Aphelios, I think that's the execution that TSM will be looking for in the later fights, is at the moment Bugi. He's down a level, but still looking to get aggressive in the river. And with Insanity not, hiding, Chime missing, that's another red buff taken here with the side of TSM.
Bugi's been spending a lot of times in the Golden Guardians jungle. That's why he was technically lower on farm compared to River, but it's because of the pressure he's been asserting with these ganks and just continuously taking those buffs away from River.
And every time he's able to actually, you know, go in and spot that buy, it also buys some time for his laners to be a little bit safer, as Hauntzer maybe suffering a little bit from 13-12. Gragas, of course, that cooldown on the passive was increased by 4 seconds quite a bit. He's been brought quite low, and Licorice doing a really nice job on the top side where he has that free reign.
Leaping on again on the top side. Hauntzer has to flash to the center of his turret's protection, throws a barrel to create some distance. Licorice hopping on out though, gets the solo kill onto Hauntzer. Both teams knew that they had the 1v1 on the top side, and Licorice was ready with the kill.
I mean, all the action on the bot side has been good for the side of TSM, but Licorice, again, continues to step up this split as that Gragas was a counterpick. Now, oh boy, that's deep.
Cease and desist, Insanity hit by into the back, and Chime, even though stunned up, has to keep the eyes on Gori. River has fallen. TSM, they draw the first blood of this particular fight, and they're going for more. Bugi, eyes on Gori, who shifts the sands away, but the advance is good. 2 kills for TSM onto Golden Guardians.
Chime was able to get there. TSM, they were able to have members as Licorice. He was based at the moment. TSM still fighting through their strength. Insanity very powerful in these early skirmishes as we're going to take another look. First off, it's a solo kill. So Licorice went for the Grasp Jax. That's a big priority on the laning. Able to actually flash the cask. Now Hauntzer clears out the wave. I think Licorice sidestepping that Q's big. That might have been enough damage where, he might have gotten low enough to maybe go down, but able to step away from that. And at the moment, I mean, you can see no Licorice. It's just a 3v3. That flash brings River way too far in as Insanity. There's so much damage from the Graves here. Just barely able to scoop or slide out of that scoop from Gori. Gets enough damage down to actually pick up a kill. And TSM, still 1k gold lead for them, but that gold in pretty decent places as this mid jungle for TSM gets stronger and stronger.
Also some great reactivity within those fights because, yes, the lock from Vi's ultimate had already attached Insanity, but flashing to draw him more into the center of his team.
I think it's really important here that Golden Guardians off this reset are able to find that Rift Herald. As Vi Jax, they should have priority for this given the draft, and especially now given that top side lead where Licorice is really taking it to Hauntzer up here. Should be the free Rift for GG. We'll see if they can use that to get some gold back in their pockets as Golden Guardians props them executing on what they drafted early. As TSM, knowing that's going on, Bugi might look to answer here on the bot side.
40 seconds to go on this Dragon. Getting some pressure in the bot lane would do tremendously for TSM to try and break some stacking from Golden Guardians. And GG's bot lane is aware of the movement, so it's the positioning right now from TSM that are really pushing GG back to offer some space to get those controls down.
2 plates traded over the turtle and quite a bit denied from Stixxay as well. As I gotta say, I know that a lot of TSM, like early in the season, there's been a lot of chatter around Insanity, just with the possibility of Ruby coming in later for TSM. And Insanity, of course, coming from Challengers. Hold on, we gotta pause huhi.
Bugi goes in again. Stixxay ready to dish the damage from the back line. And ultimate from Bugi gets the root onto 2 members of Golden Guardians under the turret. Insanity does come in with the teleport, but instead wants to cut off Gori. Dashes over the wall, and the Dragon is up now, so TSM making sure to keep themselves close to the objective at hand.
We'll snag that Dragon. Of course, Stixxay still denied quite a bit, but turning that previous point before Bugi got low. I think, for TSM, Insanity, of course, came from Challengers with the Dignitas squad that took second our last 2 splits of Challengers, but also Hauntzer and Turtle, before they stepped up to TSM LCS, they were in Challengers as well. I feel like Insanity, almost overshadowed some of the improvements we've seen from all the members of TSM, as Turtle has had a really good start to this split, been pleasant to see. I didn't think he was the strongest marksman that we had even when he was playing in Challengers last split, but now I think some of the champ reads he's had, some of the plays he's been making, especially on that Jinx the last couple of days, has been really good to see. And now he's going to be really empowered this game on the Xayah, having that own R for his safety, and also all the gold he's been granted early to make a big difference, as he already has a Kraken Slayer. We're going to see if Turtle can carry this game for TSM, because that top side is very Golden Guardians' favorite.
I think long-term LCS fans are always excited to see WildTurtle step in this fashion, being able to carry for the squad in the same way he did in the early days and showing that resilience and working alongside Hauntzer on the previous roster, stepping back into the LCS together. They're mixing that veterancy with a new look for the team and a potential look onto Golden Guardians that have ventured far up ahead but exit through the tribe brush. Even though it is warded by TSM, there's no potential follow-up.
Yeah, huhi did say he was going to try and visit the top side. It was a little bit later than what we expected, but still was looking for a potential play, because bot side right now pretty doomed with the early Kraken Slayer in the inventory for Turtle, who continues to press his lead with everyone showing in the top side. That tower is going to fall very shortly, and Golden Guardians will have to use this Rift Herald to pressure elsewhere.
And we've seen this from Golden Guardians plenty, where Stixxay takes that role, being able to hold his own in lane, so huhi can roam early. It's the way he likes to play, unlocking himself. But Chime, of course, doing the same. You're going to see that more when you have these engage picks coming in from the support position. So Turtle and Stixxay left alone, but because of that early pressure from Turtle, with everyone coming down, Bugi alongside of them, to continue pressing onto these plates, it means that TSM can knock down the first turret and keep up their pressure on this bot side.
Speaking of pressure, those going to be enough to buy space for Turtle against River, as TSM looking to support Turtle, as that is still the real point of power for TSM on the map. As Hauntzer down a lot of CS, but has only dropped one play, and that Herald actually will be forced. This is a long way from crashing, and TSM has 3 members. We could see a skirmish to see if the Herald crashes or not.
And you can see a River charging up just to create some space, but now 2 melees, not enough range behind them to be able to poke TSM off of the approaching Rift Herald.
Turtle's too strong. He just dinged level 10. He has the Kraken Slayer. He is way up on Stixxay right now. I would love to see TSM rotate Turtle across the map. Whenever you get a marksman that's ahead, that first turret's down, go put him elsewhere. Try and get some more gold in your pockets, as looks like at the moment Turtle working his way towards the mid lane. It's tough to shove against an Azir. I know Dragon's 2 minutes away though, so I think TSM just going to put Turtle mid, try and get some mid priority, and then TSM can build some vision behind that to set up for this Dragon.
So now that we have fallen past that 14-minute mark, there's no more plates. We're starting to see some of that unlocking from lanes with the first turret down. Where do you evaluate how these teams, where they have ended up at this point in the game compared to what they're bringing forth? Because we talked a lot about River needing to have those proactive plays, Golden Guardians needing to control these objectives, but I see an even split and a gold lead for TSM.
At the moment, it feels like Golden Guardians kind of have to use this Jax to get leads elsewhere. You can see how accelerated Turtle is in this game. You cannot fight the Xayah at the moment, and Golden Guardians hasn't been able to really blow any summoners or ults off of Xayah, where I was expecting to see huhi maybe fish for some Rs, at least get an ult or a cleanse out of Turtle. I would love to see Turtle actually hold that ult and cleanse instead, if that Leona ult is thrown, because he's going to need that for the Vi later. Go up in the air. Pretty good. But I think Golden Guardians, this is where they can use that Jax they have in draft to at least try and get priority in side lanes and then collapse, whereas TSM just use Maokai and Alistar, make the bouncy house, and give Xayah all the space that Xayah needs to really do the damage, because Turtle, again, so accelerated in this game.
And even though he's on a different pick than he was playing in the first 2 wins of TSM this week, it was 2 different Jinx games, it's still that same idea, right? Yeah. But even with some more protective capability because of that Feather Storm, still standing behind Bugi, still waiting for Chime to create that lockdown and the opportunities for him to dish out as many feathers and as much damage as possible. And with so much gold for himself ahead of the rest, Kraken Slayer completed, it's hard for Golden Guardians to step up into his range.
You see River snuck around TSM, was looking to see if Hauntzer actually poked his face out to catch the wave. Not going to be the case. Hauntzer is down quite poorly, but honestly, I would trade that lead to have all my gold on the Xayah in this game, as Golden Guardians in these fights, Leona, Azir, Vi, they will be jumping into Xayah which is exactly what Xayah wants in these fights. So having Turtle so ahead, so valuable here for TSM as Golden Guardians still trying to find ways to break this. And I don't think they can at this Dragon. They're going to have to drop this one, get some gold elsewhere, as they're going to try and make a point on the top side. Hauntzer.
And River's been hanging here for quite some time.
Nice.
Hauntzer thought that he was serving a solo party.
Oh.
But River flashes for the kill, ushers out a teleport
Insanity.
from TSM, but it is too little too late. Nature's Grasp from Bugi, though, catches one, catches potentially a second, cannot in time.
Huhi.
Bugi keeps the slash onto Licorice.
TSM
Leaps on out, huhi eating into the back line,
Gori.
and Gori's coming on in. At first, Divide does not connect, but he does not need it too, as Bugi has fallen. Huhi fallen below in HP for GG. Not enough to keep the go button going, but they feel good taking 2 away.
Good play from Golden Guardians by deciding to drop that Dragon early on. They were able to find a play elsewhere. They committed a lot to this one as Gori actually TP'd, but they did get 2 kills. And again, playing through that strong point that they have in the map on the Jax, working out for Golden Guardians here as TSM overcommit into them, and they end up falling.
Now, we cannot look past what Licorice has been able to do on Jax in the past, and now, when setting up with the jungler, pretty darn good.
Again, Dragon's being hit right now. River says, you know what? Not going to contest that. That Xayah is way too strong. We're going to play elsewhere. Now, this Q going wide, that's enough for Insanity to think, hey, maybe I can get in and actually find some kills. I actually really like the flash over the wall to R from Bugi. It enabled him to follow up. But Licorice, this Counter-Strike, it stuns both Insanity and Bugi. And then Gori, he's like, all right, hey, TSM, they've overcommitted. I can sweep them in to get the flash off Graves. And now, when summoner spells are burned and you have Vi, it opens up the ability to make follow-up plays from Golden Guardians. So now, let's see if Huhi and River can excel this game pace. As right now, River, yeah, here we go. No flash.
Or from Golden Guardians, but River is putting in work on Insanity before Licorice can even make the play. But now he's got Insanity in his crosshairs. River said, all right, you got this. You can finish him off. Take the kill, Licorice. Looking sweet on that top side.
Licorice versus Turtle. That's what this game might end up coming down to here, as each of these members very fed now at the moment. TSM, they're looking for a little bit elsewhere. They saw a couple members in the top side get some decent damage on the inner turret, but no dice as Golden Guardians continue to fight back in this game.
Yeah, in the end, River did need to come back because there's no reason for him to continue with the 2v1 on top when TSM were pushing down mid.
Yep.
So with a full fledged of numbers here across mid, everyone but Licorice, GG, keep that pressure from pushing too hard upon them. Now TSM looking to make the rotation to keep Licorice from retreating, uses the explosive cast to zone him out. Licorice already using his leaping strike. Hauntzer venturing on forward, the counter-strike winding up, but Chime knocks him back. 3 members onto Licorice with a Rift Herald going down bot side, ushered forth by Gori. Licorice is totally okay drawing some of that pressure if his team is making plays on the opposite side of the map.
They are, but that still was a shutdown going over to Turtle, who's already at 2 items. So again, Turtle just got bigger off that play. Yes, Licorice was able to take down that inner. They'll get a couple crashes from this Herald too, which is all right. That could be more gold they could clean up later, but at the moment, Turtle is going to be so tough to deal with in these fights. Again, everyone has to jump into this Xayah, and Turtle has everything at his disposal to do everything he can to get TSM over the finish line. He's almost already towards that 3rd item, which looking like a bloodthirster in the inventory. Look at Stixxay, hasn't even finished his 2nd as Turtle so accelerated in this game.
The Gale Force and the Kraken Slayer for Turtle, and we'll see how long it takes for Stixxay to be able to catch up and even the odds. As now past 20 minutes, the Baron has spawned, which means that you have to draw some of the vision attention from both of the teams. Already setting up on this top side, Golden Guardians taking that scuttle. But still over a minute and 25 seconds time before that next dragon stacks. It's 1 dragon for Golden Guardians, 2 for TSM, so sole point for TSM, but one that Golden Guardians can't afford to give away if they see an advantage anywhere else.
I would love to see in the next minute if Huhi just maybe tries to fish to find an R on the Turtle. Maybe get a cleanse or an ult off. If you do it fast enough, Leona would have ult back for that dragon fight. Not going to be the case though, as GG will take the resets 1 minute before the objective. Will this be the fight that Golden Guardians continues to try and play into this Xayah that is so far ahead this game? As TSM show out mid, they're going to take the bases as well, and tension arises on the Rift as we could see our first big 5v5.
TSM was working towards a formidable gold lead for some time that has now been shrunken down below that 1,000 mark off of what Golden Guardians were able to achieve, both with Rift Herald and just out of some of these fights. But 30 seconds to go onto that dragon, and no one has spent much attention on the bot side to start moving for some of these wards. You saw that everything was kind of along that river line, nobody feeling that agency to be able to move past it.
This is where Maokai is so powerful, though, taking control of this area. Now Golden Guardians, they have to play into the Maokai. Very difficult to walk through these saplings, as it has been the demonic embrace rush for Bugi, so those saps will be hitting pretty hard on the side of Golden Guardians. Licorice does have some bot push. You can see huhi, he's actually channeling a recall. If he bases with Stixxay, this will be dragon seated as the bot lane of Golden Guardians there in base, and this will be a freebie for TSM.
TSM starting that up and taking it down. Again, Golden Guardians seem like they felt okay giving over that soul point. It's not do or die territory just yet. Still a bit too early for them to have set up around Baron and make some kind of trade in that regard, but just not wanting to lose out on the angles that Bugi would be able to take, because both of these teams had all of their ultimates ready, all of their summoners ready, and that's a lot to try to break through on the side of TSM.
And with everything being up, I really feel like that favors TSM. The ability to play defensive with Maokai and Xayah. We saw Golden Guardians, when they made that first positive play in the topside, River was instantly able to get something else because Insanity was missing Flash. Golden Guardians has to make plays, just try and bleed out tools from TSM. The fact that none of that has happened, credit to TSM for A, playing a controlled game, but also Golden Guardians, they have to push the pace. They have to make this a little bit bloodier, because when cooldowns are down going up against Leona, it's very easy to execute if you're on the side of Golden Guardians. But with everything being up, you can force Golden Guardians to overcommit like we've seen before, and that's been really good for TSM, as playing in the Maokai Xayah is so difficult.
Because you look at River on Vi, what does he want to do? Go in with the ultimate into a back target. What does huhi want to do on Leona? Solar Flare, go in with the Zenith Blade. What does Licorice want to do? Leap in, right? So exactly as you're saying, if you expel all of those resources when TSM have their engage and disengage ready, you could put yourself in a very bad position. But that's why right now it's more of an establishment of warding up here on the red side jungle. River, he wants to contest around the blue buff, but can't step up. Multiple members of TSM at the ready.
I mean, this is the problem right now for Golden Guardians. That's actually a terrible line. We're going to try that one more time here. We're drawn on the stage. Look at those items.
Wow, that's some good drawn right there.
I don't know about that. I might have to, see the mouse over to you. But
as a left-handed person at the desk, I don't think that's going to work with this mouse.
But that's a full item that WildTurtle has over the Aphelios. That bot focus for TSM, getting the goal where it needs to be, has been so good for them. And again, Golden Guardians, they have to rely on Licorice stretching out the map in the sides, as, at the moment, they actually might try and pull TSM to them, as Hauntzer spotted bot. This is being burned. It's already half. TSM.
Oh, okay.
Whoa, TSM? Yeah, check it. It's gone.
Licorice is walking towards the objective. TSM, they didn't have any vision through it, and now the fight on the opposite tried to strip that purple from Golden Guardians, and huhi might lose it. Bugi goes into the back with the twisted advance, and Licorice swings away to get a lock on the Chime, who flashes on forward. Lots of hits from Gori. The damage is good. The Licorice coming out. Stixxay manages to blast one down. No turtle here for no more damage. Stixxay one into lock eyes with Gori. Upon the members of TSM. Triple kill. Stixxay with the Quadra wants to get the penta. Oh, Chime, you better give it on over, buddy. Stixxay wrapping it up with a penta kill.
Finds his teammate back from Golden Guardians Academy as this team fight, everything falling apart for TSM. We take a second look. WildTurtle, he's all the damage. But look at that. First off, burns the cleanse to get through that ult from huhi, so that tool's gone. Then Licorice able to buy so much time with his stopwatch, and Stixxay from the side lands a huge ultimate, gets the root afterwards as Turtle didn't go airborne. The step out of that, Stixxay takes him down. No one finds the carries for Golden Guardians, and Stixxay, he was free-firing this entire fight over the wall. Great positioning from him as he picks up a pentakill against his old teammate, and all of a sudden Golden Guardians, this Aphelios, went from being behind the entire game to now being more than online.
How many pentakills has Stixxay gotten this year? It's been an impressive number, that's for sure, and off of some great setup from Golden Guardians. I mean, Cubby, you were saying it. WildTurtle, that's a problem for TSM. And once he went down in that fight, ooh, it felt over.
Best on yet, both ADs now at 3 items as things are back to being even. Things way better now for the side of GG as, oh boy, Bugi, he's down.
As soon as huhi gets that lock, GG's there with the follow-up. You can tell they're feeling themselves after that Baron play, and now are ready to keep that pressure up across these lanes. Gori on the bot side to keep that empowered wave pushing forward, matched by Hauntzer, who does not have the teleport if GG put too much pressure elsewhere.
TSM, they need to wait. They're going to burn so much gold from this Baron as so many objectives were standing for Golden Guardians to take off this. And until TSM gets that Radiant Virtue through for Maokai, I mean, they're going to shred like paper against this Aphelios that all of a sudden went from being a full item behind to even now with the Xayah after that pentakill. And this game went from being so TSM favored, it's like, how do you fight against this Xayah? How do you fight into this Maokai, take the map back from him? To now Golden Guardians, everything is at their disposal as they're going to stop the Soul. And that's a big gold lead as Golden Guardians have turned the tides in everything on the Rift.
There was no way for TSM to get to this Dragon first because of that push after acquiring that Baron. They are stepping forward to see if they can find some kind of follow-up fight again onto Golden Guardians, but when they tried that on the other side of the map, it didn't work out too well for them.
And TSM, they committed 5 that we try and overtake that bot side jungle and enable Licorice to take down half of that top lane inhibitor, as Licorice has been strong all game and will continue to be strong in the side lane on the Jax. Almost has that Zhonya's completed. It's going to give him more survivability in the team fight as TSM. And Turtle still's got his sums available. You got to fight around him. I think that maybe just praying that GG overcommits into you is kind of where things are at for this game. Turned on a dime so quickly from Golden Guardians. I mean, props to them for sneaking that Baron. Really caught TSM off guard.
And even looking at the map state right before that, the way that TSM were so focused on warding elsewhere and just not really able to get that vision onto the top side, maybe not expecting Golden Guardians to go for such an early play on that Baron as well. But their commitment, knowing they had the damage to burn the objective down, worked out well for them. Hauntzer targeting huhi right now. Expels the explosive cast. Moonlight Vigil from Stixxay so that TSM cannot follow up.
Turtle holds on to his spells there. Going to take the damage. He will heal up off of BT, so actually well done from Turtle to not burn everything there, realizing that he was safe. That is at least one thing taken away from Golden Guardians. TSM have the opportunity to maybe try and fight while Stixxay is still down that flash. They have some tools available to try and make a play on him. As now, we talked the entire game about WildTurtle being the problem. Stixxay himself, now matching Turtle is a problem for TSM to deal with, especially with everyone jumping onto the Aphelios.
And I will say, in terms of this game, another thing just to put a little feather in the cap of the way Golden Guardians were able to handle this, it's a split, Cubby, where games have been so fast. Teams snowballing from so early. And when they get that lead, they just do so much with it. So the fact that Golden Guardians, even though losing some of those early advantages for themselves, were able to get things in a neutral position and then beyond that extend a lead, now at 4,000 gold, about to be 30 minutes. That is impressive for them to counter the trend of what we've been seeing.
Yeah, we're going to have to see some clean bouncy houses here from TSM. On to Stixxay if they want to try and survive. See Hauntzer at least able to fight a little bit more on this side lane.
Now has
Turtle's here.
Turtle. Licorice goes into stasis, pops back up. Turtle throwing it down. More golden to be thrown by Hauntzer. Good. Blast cone good. Licorice. Huh. What a clean exit, my friend.
Oh, I thought he was going down there, but hey, going golden and avoiding the rip, that might have been the big difference in getting Licorice out. And while that was going on the top side, we had Insanity falling solo to River on the Vi. Now, big thing as well, Golden Guardians, they got the flash out of Turtle, who tried to go for that kill. So now this Baron, so dangerous for TSM to even walk in. With Hauntzer on the bot side, they're just going to give it.
Again, GG on it. And this time TSM just have to watch. They got the ward there. They know what's happening, and there ain't nothing they can do about that Red Bull Baron buff, the second acquired for GG.
Yeah, this Golden Guardians comp now on Vine as Azir is at 3 items. Aphelios is fed. TSM things were going so well for them, at least earlier on. But once that control is lost, you can see River, holy cow, just melting through Insanity, who of course has that lethality build going for the squishies, now has an LER to boot. I think he needed that a little bit earlier against River as he just shredded that Graves.
Absolutely annihilated him and is ready to do so again with ultimates back up for both of these teams. Red and white guns for Stixxay too. TSM are at that position where they're so forced into their base. Licorice still pushing with teleport on the bot side. That bot turret is fairly low, so he'll be able to push it off while all 5 members of TSM attempt to hold against here. Gori responding with the ultimate onto Bugi, who also throws out the Nature's Grasp for himself, but teleport coming in from Golden Guardians means that Licorice in the center of the wall swings away, bats him down, cuts down 3. Golden Guardians being in a fight, but Turtle with lots of damage takes down the double kill. Look at him go, and even with the shifting sands forwards, Turtle manages to escape. Licorice really close to getting some distance gapped onto him, but it's just Turtle. It's just Turtle, and it's found. It's 3 members of Golden Guardians. Featherstorm attempt gets the 1-for-1 trade, but it's an ace for Golden Guardians on the back of that fight. A tremendous push for them in those moments with Baron buff still in tow. Can't stop, won't stop. Golden Guardians reap only victories.
4 wins in a row for Golden Guardians as they find the perfect week. And that was a close game. Again, I thought TSM did a nice job at controlling things early. That Xayah was a full item ahead of Stixxay and that Baron fight, but it didn't matter. Golden Guardians, they were able to sneak that Baron. Stixxay got a pentakill, and it felt like the game went from going, you know, pretty good control for TSM instantly into full control for Golden Guardians. They got so much gold off that Baron. Stixxay was back in the game, and everything was smooth sailing from there.
It shows so much of Golden Guardians' growth from the very, very early weeks of this season, where sometimes if down, you get a little rattled. It can be difficult to keep yourself collected, but ever since Gori came in spring, it feels like this squad has worked as a unit, able to push back against leads that their opponents get. I mean, TSM spent so many resources on that bot side to get Turtle into a strong position. A full item up on the enemy ADC. But as soon as Stixxay was able to even out that gold, it felt donezo.
And for Golden Guardians, I think a big part of the difference from Spring 2 has been the form that Licorice has had in the start of summer. He was scaling into the spring playoffs. He wasn't playing his best in the regular season, but Licorice was the point of power for Golden Guardians in the top side this entire game. He was able to help make it pay off in the end. As we take another look at the final fight, Stixxay again was so safe behind the Azir in the front line. This really for every fight this game, as TSM just couldn't find the angles. I love the aggression from Stixxay too. Did end up falling in the end, but hey, his teammates, he had him covered here in the back half. Made sure this one went in GG's favor.
That's all that matters in the end. Everyone working collectively through. I also love seeing huhi continue to work back onto those engaged supports. Obviously, Rel was a very exciting one because he created such an identity with Rel when she first came into the equation. But Leona, I mean, Leona's my favorite, so I'm always going to be happy when I see my favorite champion played. But also just from a very team-oriented perspective. Her kit is so clear in enabling everyone to be able to follow up, and when they do so effectively, you get a pentakill for your bot laner.
He's been looking really good early. I love, you know, his ability to roam on the map, and I feel like this meta shift's been big.
It has. But for those at home, Viva la LCS! LCS en Español is the official Spanish language stream of the LCS. This new viewing experience is live on LLA's Twitch and YouTube channels right now. Scan the QR code or go to lolesports.com to learn more. But for now, here in the studio, we are joining Stixxay at the lounge for our Verizon post-game interview.
Hello, and welcome back to the lounge. We're joined by the victorious Stixxay. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was a pretty cool game. Didn't start great for you. How scared were you of the 3-kill Alistar?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of reacted poorly to like what they did early game. They had a pretty good early game plan of like pressuring us bottom and diving off the level 1 invade. And like thankfully, Alistar got all the kills, because I think if Xayah got the kills, it would have been really difficult. But I was telling my team that, I was like, guys, don't worry, Alistar has all the kills. So, you know, it's going to be okay.
We're going to fast forward ahead to kind of the break point of the game. Obviously, your pentakill, which is this week's Grubhub delivering the win. Not only is Grubhub delivering the win on LCS broadcast, they're delivering all of your favorite food to keep you satisfied during a great day of matches. Keep yourself fed and use code LCS Summer for $10 off your delivery order of $15 or more. For new diners, terms apply. We're also going to be listening into your comms on this one. We are. You can't hear it because you lived it.
If they do,
We got it.
Can you fight after? Yeah.
We can. Okay, Alistar, just hit the front.
Play slow, play slow.
Slowly,
Yeah.
block.
I don't see it. They're gonna go on me. Oh no, I'm okay. Gragas TP.
Yeah.
Frames.
Hitting the front.
Gragas TP somewhere.
Hit, AD.
Nice, Trevor. We can fight.
Yeah.
Xayah dead, guys. Oh, Grapes. Nice.
I go.
Gragas,
I go.
all no flash. You got it. We won. Let's go, Trevor. I get it, bro. Come on. Nice. Wow. Pentakill. Gragas, Maokai, Grapes, pleasure.
Gragas,
Okay.
Maokai.
That's so funny. And just you being like, yep, got it. Hitting front line, doing this, doing that. And then everyone's like, wait, pentakill angle.
I mean, I don't know if you guys like watch our MSI comms too, but it's like the same thing. My team's going crazy, and I'm just like stone cold, just like trying to focus on what's ahead.
Is it because you're focused on, or just different energy levels in general? Or
I
like
think
when
it's
you're
just,
in the moment?
different ways of expressing. Like,
Right, yeah.
In the game. So.
All right, well, cool. Biggest pet peeve, leashing my jungler. Nice. I just
Oh,
learned
what the? We
something
put
new
little
about,
facts
yeah,
on there?
I just learned something new about you.
Oh, I'm shocked. The AD carry player wants to get to lane for prio right away, huh?
Yeah, but actually, like yesterday and today, I was leashing my jungler, and so I was just joking with River. Oh, I love leashing for you, River, and he always laughs and says, "Thank you."
Don't let him see this segment. Then knows that you're lying.
I know. In terms of Golden Guardians, I think more holistically, obviously you guys didn't have the start to the split that you wanted, but you've looked incredibly formidable across your past few wins. So what changed on the team? MSI hangover, adjusting to the new patch. What was up with that?
I mean, honestly, it might sound like kind of cliche, or like it sounds kind of weird because we're all such experienced players, but it does take some time to like get used to the stage again that you're playing on. So we were definitely playing a bit out of our element in our first couple of games. And as we played more and more, you know, we talked, all right, let's be a little more loose during the games and stuff like that. So we're just getting more used to, you know, kind of just being ourselves on the stage and not being afraid to make plays and stuff like that.
I have to ask this question. I'm sorry if it sounds rude, but Golden Guardians has never finished above 500 in the regular season. It's like the modern day curse, because I was on curse back in the day when we never broke fourth. So like, I know what it's like. Is this something that you guys are aware of? Like, we need to finish above 500 this split, or do you guys not care about it at all?
We're very aware of it. I think we've mentioned it every day. So when we were,
it's just like the curse.
Yeah, we were 0-2, and then I think we when we rounded it out to 2-2, we said, "Oh, we're on track, guys." For the 9-9. So
yeah.
Whenever we do that, our GM just kind of looks at us with like a glaring face.
Yeah, no, I think it's good to set these kinds of things, keep everyone focused.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was wondering if it was coming from Anero specifically, if he's just sitting there being like, we gotta get those 10 wins.
No,
guys.
but whenever we talk about it, he's always just laughing, and I think he's just praying that we can actually get above 50-50.
Nice. Well, congratulations on the win today. You guys are looking really, really strong. Unfortunately, we have to toss to a commercial break, but IMT and 100 Thieves are on the other side of it.
Yeah, so anyone want a 1v1?
God.
There it is.
My ears are bleeding.
Gori says.
Oh.
Gragas TP somewhere.
AD?
Nice, Trevor. We can fight.
Yeah.
Xayah dead, guys. Oh, Grapes. Nice.
Go.
Gragas. All no flash. You got it. We won. Let's go, Trevor.
Oh, Chime, you better give it on over, buddy! Stixxay wrapping it up with a pentakill!
Take